God, my hair's getting long. But that's what happens when you got that quarantine lifestyle going on and can't go anywhere to get a haircut taken care of. How's everyone doing today? Glad you're all here. Thanks for stopping back by another episode of Jesse's Occupational Awareness channel. Really appreciate you being here. Topic we want to talk about today, it deals with the academy, but it also deals with being on the unit, is one of the tools of self-defense that you're going to be issued and that pretty much every employee is going to carry with themselves and need to be familiar with. One of the images that a lot of people who don't really know anything about prison corrections officers are what they see from movies or on shows. Guy with a hat, mirror, sunglasses, and a long baton dangling off of his or her hip with a side handle. Well, the hat, not so much. There are officers that do wear cowboy hat style, 10-gallon type. They're called field bosses. That's a whole separate kind of unit, elite kind of a unit. They're the ones that ride out on horseback and supervise offenders that are on work detail outside the realms of the penitentiary. Sunglasses, not so much needed, especially where I worked in segregation. I was always inside the dungeon, so I never had any kind of need for any kind of sunglasses. Baton, as I talked about in a previous video, the only time I ever carried a baton with me was when I had a segregation offender that I needed to transport from Building 12 to somewhere else within the facility. It was typically just a medical. It wasn't a very long walk, and the baton was there for two reasons. It was to either stop the inmate from any kind of aggression that they might try to show. It was pretty difficult for them to do because of the way that they were shackled, hobbled, belly chained. The other one was to protect that inmate from other offenders who might try to assault this individual. Now, broadcast was put out. They were all supposed to be put on movement holds. The movement of the seg offender took priority over everything. So as far as carrying a baton around, no. So you're asking, well Jesse, what did you carry with you? You had some kind of defense, right? A firearm? Nope, no firearm. Wouldn't have done any good anyway. There's too many individuals to make it worth it. Plus, you discharge a firearm in a closed setting like I was in, you're probably not going to have your hearing after that. It's not like the movies where everyone shoots ammo and everything's good. No, you pretty much go deaf after that. So, what was the main tool that you had? Well, predominantly, you had your brain, you had your mind, but you did have another tool that would get issued out to you. I have right here for you. Dun, 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 dun. This is a can of pepper spray. Predominantly oleoresin capsaicin, also known as OC, also known as gas. There's another form of gas that TDCJ employs as well, CS. I'm not sure what the CS designate stands for, but it's tear gas. It's the same kind of gas that in the Army, the Marines, I'm not sure about the Air Force, I'm sure probably some of them, maybe they're security forces, special forces, if there is such a thing. But predominantly the Army and the Marines, they use to test the recruits with how they're going to react when they're exposed to gas. And these individuals are also exposed to it, at least my time in the Marine Corps, you would experience every year in the gas chamber. Comes in the form of a white pellet. You would go inside of a shed, basically, closed area. Whoever was administering the gas would expose it to heat, a little bit of wind blowing around, and it would look like white smoke billowing through the room. And once you breathed it, once it got in your eyes, once it got in your nose, that's when the fun started from there. It's what's known as an irritant. It predominantly affects the mucous membranes, your eyes, your nose, your sense of taste and smell, which is your mouth. Didn't do a whole lot to expose skin. Your arms, your legs, any kind of bare skin exposed, didn't really have an effect to it. If you had an open cut, it might burn a little bit, but once your eyes and nose got wind of it, you didn't think about that little cut that was there anymore. It removes the oxygen that you're trying to breathe in. It induces coughing, the snot, the spit, saliva. Your olfactors just go absolutely insane. It's going to start streaming out of your nose. Your eyes burn. Your instinct is to close them shut. So what is this used for? Why do we want this? Typically it's used for crowd control. If you watch any kind of movies or riots that are shown on, large groups of people, they're told to disperse. They don't. Tear gas is employed. It's usually in a metal canister. It has a pop top, kind of like a soda can, and it's fired from either a rifle, thrown by hand, dropped from a building top, and it just makes this cloud of smoke. Looks like just any other kind of Class A combustible fire kind of smoke, but sorry about that. Still got this congestion going on. It looks like any other cloud of smoke, but it is a chemical irritant and it will burn. You may have an immunity to it, you may not. Some people do, some people don't. I didn't see tear gas used in the penitentiary at all where I worked. It was mainly used in the academy to get you used to your exposure. What you don't want to happen is to get through all your formalized training, and the first time you're exposed to gas is when you're in a use of force with an offender. You're either trying to stop them from hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or assaulting you. And the first time you breathe it, your instinct is to clam up, go into the fetal position, try to run off, something. You need some kind of formal exposure so you know how your body's going to react to it and how to react to it as well. So that is part of your academy training. You will be exposed to CS gas. You will be exposed to OC pepper spray gas. Now, I don't want to touch a whole lot on the CS gas. I will talk a lot about this particular canister. This brand is made by Safariland. It's a 3-ounce can with 2 ounces of oleoresin capsaicin. So oleoresin capsaicin is a chemical. It's oil-based, and inside this canister is water. It's charged with a propellant, very similar to any kind of an aerosol can, Lysol disinfectant spray, what else? Shaving cream kind of can. It has this safety cover over the top of it. It's spring affected. If you press down on top of this, nothing's going to happen. The activator is in between what lifts up, and the button is right here. Once you press down on this button, the nozzle right here, a straight stream comes out from it. It's a little bit thinner than the diameter of a pencil. I believe it'll go from anywhere from up to 6 feet to 10 feet. Depends on how hard you press down on the actuator, how old the can is, how old the propellant is that's inside the can. But it'll discharge into a straight stream. The reason that I have this canister, my previous position in the Coast Guard, I was a boarding officer, and we would wear a similar duty belt that any other kind of police officer in the States would wear. Pistol, hand restraints, baton, pepper spray, flashlight, magazine pouch. And I have that belt left over. My current position as an instructor right now, At the training center, I don't fall under a law enforcement category, but I still have the equipment in the event that I could be assigned that qualification, certification at some point. So that explains why I have one of these canisters. Now these, you typically can't buy them in a store. Walmart will usually sell, or any kind of sporting goods store. In Texas, it's Academy. Here in Virginia, it's Bass Pro Shops, Dick's Sporting Goods. They'll usually sell the kind that are keychain related. Really small, maybe a half an ounce, if that. I'm not exactly sure. I've never had one. This is also the same kind of can that you're going to carry and you're going to train with at TDCJ. When you're on the unit, you'll sign one out, you'll be issued it. And where I worked in segregation, we wore a vest. The vest covered your torso, Velcro patches went around the side, there were pockets, and there was a center pouch right here. The canister sat right here in the center with a Velcro pouch that folded over. All I had to do was lift up the Velcro. I could pull this out, thumb activated, lift up the plastic, lift up the cover, thumb on it, and what you would typically want to do, canister out, hand in front of the face, give the offender standard commands, stop doing whatever they're doing, depress, hold for about 2 seconds. The way that you could tell 2 seconds, OC, 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 OC. See how I did that back and forth like that? That's spraying the line straight out. Hand up in front of your face, so when you sprayed it, if the offender was that close and it hit and there was a splashback, or if you sprayed it and for whatever reason the canister exploded in your hand, or heaven forbid, I'm not going to face this toward me, heaven forbid you had it facing the wrong way and somehow you were able to get on the button. I've seen everything, folks. It's to minimize the amount of splash in your face. What you have to be careful to avoid is this. See what I got going on right here? I'm going to spray, and what's it going to do? It's going to hit my hand. It's going to come right back. You say to yourself, well, Jesse, who in the world would be dumb enough to do that? When you get into a use of force and that adrenaline starts flowing, gross motor skills take over, and you may forget which one is which. But this is your best means from there. In employing the canister, we teach, at least in the Coast Guard, not so much TDCJ, but it does apply, we teach the 4 S's. Shake. You want to make sure the agent is mixed well with the water and with the propellant. Shout. Offender Jenkins, stop doing what you're doing. You're going to be OC pepper sprayed. Spray. OC, OC. OC, OC. Shuffle. I'm standing here. Offender is standing here. Offender gets sprayed. Their reaction, if they want to attack me, they're going to run to where they last saw the individual. I want to move to the side, left, right, to increase the chances that if they run, they're going to miss me. We call that getting off the tracks. Right now, I'm on the tracks. We're able to get with each other. I step off those tracks. They run to the last known position that they sense the officer from. Less chance of me being exposed to that type of attack. The advantage to OC pepper spray, it can be intimidating. Offender sees the can come out, they know they're about to get burned, and business is real. They're probably going to listen to your verbal commands at that point. If they don't, and you have to discharge that agent, angels don't pop out and take care of the situation for you. Hands are going to go up to the offender's face. Hopefully, they're going to go down to the ground. Hopefully, they're going to stop doing whatever it was they were doing. Now, you as the officer have to gain control of the situation. You have to move in. You have to restrain the individual. What do they have all over them? They have that pepper spray all over them. Now, what is it that actually comes out of the can? Well, it's a mixture of the agent with a water base. So it's not like fog is coming out of the can. It's a straight stream, very much like if you were to depress a water hose nozzle, it's going to come out like that. Now, not with that diameter, not with that velocity, but that's the same principle. It's going to spray out like that. It's going to hit whatever your target is, and it's going to splash just like any other kind of liquid is. It comes out as a liquid form. It's an oil-based. So what it does, when it hits the face, it's going to run down, and as it spreads itself out, it's going to dry, and it's going to start to harden, hence the term oleoresin. It's going to do kind of like tree sap would do. As it runs down a pine tree, it's going to start to harden and form. And anything it touches, it burns. It's closest I could simulate would be take a jalapeno pepper, stick your finger in the jar, get it on it, rub your eyes. That's it, but intensified. The skin is going to turn red. It might blister in some cases. Eyes are going to instinctively slam shut. It's going to interfere with the nose, the mouth. There's going to be a lot of coughing, a lot of yelling. It's pretty bad stuff. So once you got to go in and gain control of this offender, it is going to get on you. It's going to get on your hands. You're going to breathe it in. It's going to be splashing around. Depending on how much you spray, it can be soaked into their clothing. Now you're getting it on you. It does its job, but it doesn't decipher friend from foe. And anytime pepper spray is used, there will be friendly fire. I can absolutely guarantee that. Sorry, I was looking at the time. I don't want this to go too terribly long. So, what kind of exposure can you expect at the academy? I was exposed to OC pepper spray long before I joined TDCJ. I first joined the Coast Guard in 2007, and anytime you hold any kind of a law enforcement capacity with that agency, you're trained very similar to the way civilian police officers are trained in their academies. Part of that training is OC exposure. You have on gym clothes, you have on your pistol belt, you have a plastic pistol in it, not a live pistol. The person who's the person who's going to administer the OC pepper spray reads you a blurb from a piece of paper. You're then instructed to close your eyes. They spray 2 lines of pepper spray. The target is above your forehead. All right, now it's going to end up wherever, but with your eyes closed, they target your forehead and it runs down your face. Now, I didn't have my glasses on at the time, and it runs down your face. With my eyes closed, it just felt like a liquid was spraying on me, and I could feel it drip down my face. And I remember kind of spitting some of it out. And then they ask you 3 questions. What's your name? What's your employee ID number? What level of force was just administered to you? That's to let it soak in and kind of do its thing. Then they tell you, open your eyes. You open your eyes, and at that point, it's like they instinctively want to slam shut. And you have 2 individuals come at you from both sides. They have thick pads. They're about the size of I'm doing this like you can see, they're about the size of a torso. And they're hitting you with these pads. So you're getting bumped around. You have to put your hand on your hip, protect your firearm. My other hand, I had to reach up and hold my eyes open, and you have to give verbal commands to the subject. Stop assaulting me. Partner, I've been pepper sprayed. Partner, I need help. That's going to go on for about 2 minutes. And while you're doing that, this hand's on your weapon. You're reaching out to try to front jab. Let go. Eyes are going to slam shut. Front jab. Forearm shut. Eyes back to it. Get hit from this side. Now you're knocked around. At the end of 2 minutes, the administrator that pepper sprayed is going to say, acquire your target, gain control of the situation. At that point, pistol gets drawn out. You point down on the individual. Get down on the ground. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get it right now, get it right now, you'll be shot. The individual at that point will drop down. They're going to fall on the pad. Reholster. You're gonna fumble with it. You're going to be looking for it. Get it in, holster it, secure it. At that point, secure from drill. You put your hands up. The other individual with the bag comes. They take your belt off of you. You go over to where there's fresh, cold, running water, use it from a water hose, start washing your face off. The problem with it, this is an oil-based product. Water will make it feel better while it's running on your face. The second you take it off, it goes right back to burning. And because it's a resin, it doesn't wash off. Think of it like you cook oil onto a frying pan and you're just holding it under the running water of a sink. It's not going to wash it off. The only thing that's really going to get it off is scrubbing, cleaning. In the case of this mess, the stuff just has to dry, harden, crystallize, and eventually it's going to flake itself off of your skin. It'll burn from anywhere from up to 4, 6 to 8 hours. You can try milk. You can try baby shampoo, the tearless stuff. The only real fix for it is time. Now that was my exposure in the Coast Guard. With TDCJ, it's not going to be to that extreme. You're going to be behind the academy, at least in the case of the Huntsville Academy. You'll be in the back, and there are posts that are going to be set up, and they'll have targets hung to those posts. And you have the spray in your hand, and you run up to the target, and you give some kind of command. I don't remember what the command was. Offender, release the hostage, something. And then you discharge the agent into the target. Then you have to run past it. What that does is the stuff has hit the target, it's bounced off of it, and it's kind of marinating in the air. And it's marinating into that paper target that you just sprayed. When you run past it, you're going to get a whiff of it. If you try to hold your breath when you go past it, it's not going to do any good. It's going to be on your skin. It's going to be on your lips. You're going to be sweaty. It's going to intermix with your sweat. It's going to get to your mouth. We had to run past and spray at least 5, from what I can remember. I'm sorry. I believe it was 5 targets. We had to hose 5 targets, give them the standard commands, and then move on from the area. Our tear gas exposure, picture 4 to 5 individuals. And my arms are interlinked like this. Now I've got an arm. I interlink this arm, and there's an arm interlinked with this one. So I'm holding on to this person and this person. In turn, they're holding on to me. To the outside of them, there's another individual and another individual. We've all linked arms. That's a line of 4 or 5, and then it goes back at least 3 lines, maybe 4. So you've got, say, 20 cadets, and we're all interlinked with arms. The instructor has a long pole with a strap at the end of it, and there's a can of tear gas on the bottom of it. Another instructor comes, pulls this tab, runs out of the way. The instructor with this long pole, I think it was around about 8 to 10 feet long, takes this pole and passes it in between all the lines of us with this tear gas just blowing all over you. You can try to hold your breath, but you're not going to be able to hold it for as long as the canister goes. The canister goes for a good 30-45 seconds. And even with you holding your breath, it's under pressure. So the agent blows up, it goes up in your eyes. Even when they're closed, it goes up your nose. You're eventually going to feel a twang of something. You're going to do one of those. That's going to let it come in. And now you're breathing in pure tear gas. It's going to feel like you can't breathe. You're going to cough. You're going to hack. Snot and spittle is going to go everywhere. You're going to feel a pull as the cadets beside you start pulling. It might even be you pulling and you're not realizing it. 2 things that'll fail that: if you break off and you run away, or if you break off and you drop to the ground and you try to fetal position. You have to stand there, eat the gas, listen to commands. You're finally going to get the command, advance, 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 walk forward, advance, walk forward. That's when everyone's going to start pushing each other, and you're going to be bumping onto each other and yanking and pulling. Then you're going to walk through the cloud. And from there, that's when the coughing, the hacking, the gagging, your sinuses are going to open all up. It's a very memorable experience. It's a lot of fun for the instructors. They're going to be laughing. You're not going to see them because you're going to be in the baptism of gas, is what we called it. And it's good exposure. But you're going to know what it smells like, you're going to know what it tastes like, and you're going to know how you're going to react when you're exposed to it. When you go to work at the unit, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're going to be exposed to this pepper spray. My exposure to it in my last video when I talked about Mr. Keene, OC pepper spray, and the individual that was cutting himself, I was exposed to it within my first, by that point I'd been there for a little less than 2 weeks. So everyone carries this. It does get used. It's a useful tool. It's not your only tool, but it is a good self-defense tool. Respect it. Get familiar with it. Use it when you need it. Don't be fearful of it. Use it to keep yourself safe. The other big one on that one, your head. Folks, I really appreciate everyone checking out, watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the content today. Next video, we'll get into some use of hand restraints, some more self-defense tactics. All the individuals that are watching these videos that are newly reporting going on to the academy, I really hope that these are helping you guys out. I hope that they're getting you prepped for it. When you get there, have a blast, enjoy yourself, learn everything that you can, because the real job is waiting ahead of you. Everyone stay safe, take care of yourselves. I appreciate every single one of you. Y'all take care.